Happy holidays, everybody, and welcome to Movie.Cast. This is the podcast where we talk all about films. I'm Mike. This is my good friend Costa, good friend Amber. How you guys doing? Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you guys.
Same to you.
Yep.
Cool. We're getting close, only a few days away. All your shopping done?
Yep.
Finished it yesterday.
I still have a little bit more to do. So, I know. They're small things. I can just run to the store and get it. So, yeah, so. But anyway, happy holidays, everybody. We are nearing the end of what most consider a pretty tumultuous and contemptuous year of 2016, and hopefully we'll get a fresh new start in 2017.
Dictionary said their word of the year is surreal.
Surreal.
That's a good word.
That is a good word.
That's fitting.
It has been a very surreal year. And it's been a interesting year in films too, and that's what we're going to talk about today. We're doing basically our year in review today, and basically we're going to talk about what films we thought were the best that we've seen in this past year, and some of the biggest disappointments. We'll go through basically a round table style, and we'll just each name our individual favorites and disappointments. So. Let's get the conversation going. Costa, we're going to start with, on your end of the couch there. What films, let's start off with what the films that you liked the best this year.
So I've seen, as far as all the movies that were released in this calendar year, I have seen 17 films.
Okay.
Last year I saw 19 films in the theaters. But
shame.
But see,
no, it's
of this recording.
I probably went to the theater less this year than last year too.
There are at least 2 more films I plan on seeing before the end of the year, so I will at least match my total from last year.
Right.
But obviously those movies are not in the running.
I mean, yeah. In all fairness, we are recording this a little bit early, so we still haven't gotten to Assassin's Creed, which I know we're excited about.
I also still want to go see Manchester by the Sea, which I've heard fantastic things about as well. My fiance wants to go see La La Land.
Oh yeah.
As well, I've heard interesting things about that as well. So I mean, if I see all 3 of those before the end of the year, I beat my total from last year.
And now these are based on films that we've seen. I mean, we know obviously there's going to be some other films out there that maybe we missed, and you guys can let us know what you guys thought. But go ahead.
I'll start from the bottom. For the most part, 2017 has been a very
16.
What I say?
You said 17.
Did I say 17?
We're not there yet. We're not in the future.
2016 has been. See, because I kind of want to forget about 2016. I already think about 2017. 2016 has been a very mediocre year for movies. I can remember when we did our summary for 2015. Like, there were a lot of films on my list I was very excited about that I loved. I mean, I had movies like Ex Machina, Force Awakens, Creed, like a lot of really, really great movies. This year, So anyway, my number 5 is just sort of by default, just because of how mediocre the year has been for the most part, is Civil War. Is at my number 5. I had no problems really with Civil War. I thought it was an okay movie, but really why I had it at my number 5 is mostly because of the introduction of Spider-Man into the Civil War universe, and really that's what puts it above some of these other films that I've seen this year. Is just because I got to go by like what moments did I enjoy the most, and seeing Spider-Man Civil War was, I mean, if you think about like especially that the fights at the airport and the scenes with him and Robert Downey Jr. and Marissa Tomei and stuff like that, like those.
I mean, that was the best part of Civil War.
The best part of Civil War, and those are also some of the more enjoyable scenes in film this year. You could argue. So
I guess
my opinion, number 5. Number 4 is so much more. For me is a more recent thing. I should not see this movie in theater. But I saw it on Netflix very recently. Jungle Book is my number 4.
Fantastic movie.
I was very bummed out that I missed it in its theater run, but because of that deal Disney has with Netflix, I was able to watch it recently, and it was a fantastic movie. The visuals were. It's so hard to believe that the movie was pretty much shot entirely in front of green screen and blue screen.
Oh, absolutely. The CGI was awesome.
Top notch. Very. Took the Jungle Book, which is seen by many as like an okay Disney animated film, and took it to a whole other level.
Oh, absolutely. And this is the definitive Jungle Book, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like this movie completely erases the cartoon, and like in my opinion, the cartoon doesn't exist anymore.
Good, entertaining, great voice acting.
Yes,
around the board, it was fantastic.
Yep.
Number 3. Disney strikes again with Zootopia.
Yes. Absolutely.
Honestly, like there's a part of me that I was thinking maybe I could have even argued. Part of me was even thinking like Zootopia could have even been number 1 on some lists. Like Zootopia was that good and that surprising. It's one because it's refreshing. It's not a live action remake of a Disney movie or a retelling of a Disney movie. It's original characters. The story is relevant to today.
Yep. Absolutely it is.
I think a lot of people, given like the climate in the world today, I think a lot of people could probably benefit from sitting down and watching Zootopia right now.
It would go over their heads.
Maybe for some people,
probably go over their heads.
It was very heartfelt, had a lot of funny moments, all around very surprising.
Yeah.
Surprising.
Oh, absolutely.
Zootopia was the surprise of the year.
Absolutely. It has the depth and feeling of a Pixar film.
Yes.
But it's not Pixar. It is, but it isn't because it's Disney.
Yeah.
But it's not Pixar, and that's going to be really fun because now Disney's going to start competing against itself.
Right.
But anyway, yes.
My number 2 is Deadpool.
Yes. Deadpool love.
Deadpool was
maximum effort.
Yes, it was just such a brilliant movie.
It's fantastic.
I mean, you couldn't have picked anybody else better. I kind of feel like Ryan Reynolds was probably born wearing a Deadpool costume, even though he was born before Deadpool was even an actual comic book character. Like Ryan Reynolds was amazing as Deadpool. The action was fantastic. The comedy was on point.
Oh, absolutely.
And it wasn't a high budget film at all either. Like that was the whole reason Fox even was willing to make the movie, because the budget was low and they didn't want to risk a whole lot.
And the low budget actually helped in some cases. Like
they knew where to put the money.
Well, because they initially were going to have bigger battle scenes, but they slashed the budget, and that's why Deadpool ends up forgetting his bag of guns very often, like a lot throughout, and that was great. They made it a running joke that perfectly explained it. Yeah, shit.
Yeah,
it's like calling the driver.
Yeah, that was great.
So I mean, it was such a thrill ride to watch Deadpool.
Yes. And it was a refreshing superhero film too. It was
rated R.
It was just different. Rated R, but it was also it took a different. I guess because the rated R, it just took a different tone and style, and it was so unique, so refreshing.
Just like Robert Downey Jr. was meant to play Tony Stark in Iron Man, Ryan Reynolds was meant to play Deadpool.
That marketing campaign was amazing.
Oh, it was brilliant.
It was
brilliant.
That marketing campaign was on point.
Really,
and it continues too with that whole Oscar campaign too. If you've seen that letter that he wrote as Deadpool to voters, yeah, it's pretty funny.
And almost to be different. I part of me wanted me to make Deadpool my number 1, but I couldn't. I have to give my number 1 spot to Rogue One. Rogue One was just. I'm sorry. Like I'm sure a lot of people there are probably a lot of people out there that aren't Star Wars fans or anything like that would probably could say. I mean, listen, if you want to tell me that Deadpool is the number 1 movie, I'm not going to argue with you. Deadpool.
It's your number what?
It's my number 2.
Yeah.
And part of me to be different almost wanted me to make Deadpool number 1, but I have to give it to Rogue One. It was such a spectacular film, well made. For anyone who watched our review of Rogue One, Mike, you pointed out doing Rogue One was a huge risk. I mean,
it was a gamble.
Outside of Darth Vader, you have no Jedi in this movie. No familiar faces or really names. I mean, you get some little tidbits in there, but this would be a movie difficult to watch for somebody who is not familiar with Star Wars. Because where are the lightsabers? Where's all this? Where's all that?
It is a prequel, so it's meant to be watched as a prequel. That's what prequels are meant for.
But this movie stands strong on its own.
Right.
Firmly. But it provides a lot of fantastic moments for the hardcore fans without being overbearing. So anyone who is not a Star Wars fan can go and watch this movie and walk away amazed and blown away. Like, there isn't really anything in this movie that makes like, oh, I should have probably watched the other Star Wars movies so I can understand this movie.
Yeah, not a
really
whole lot.
You don't need to.
No.
No. I mean...
They explain it pretty well, and then they wrap it up, and then they give you a little bit more if you do want to continue watching. Then you can jump on to 4.
Right. There are a couple of moments like when Mon Mothma is speaking with Bail Organa and makes a reference to Obi-Wan Kenobi.
And Princess Leia.
Right. You know, you like those little subtle, like, vague descriptions of characters and stuff. Yeah, that might go over some people's heads, but other than that, you can go into it with basically no knowledge of Star Wars. You can enjoy the movie, and just that's it.
All right, Amber, your top 5 films.
Okay. My number 5 is The Jungle Book, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I really liked it.
It was.
It was one of my most anticipated movies this year, and I enjoyed it so much.
You know, for me, it was a surprise as to how good it was. Because I never liked the Jungle Book cartoon, so I was just like,
oh yeah,
I was kind of on the fence going into it. But then when I watched, I was like, okay, this is because it gave what Jungle Book needed, a plot.
Well, and
an actual plot with a clear like string story arcs.
Well, and for me, growing up, we liked the Jungle Book. We even liked, me and my siblings liked 2 live action. One is a really, really old one that's was colorized that we grew up watching that we really loved. And another one was one made in the 90s, which was live action. So we've always loved the Jungle Book and the different characterizations of Mowgli and the animals, because sometimes in a lot of the live adaptation ones, they don't talk. He doesn't really communicate with them. He's just used to them, and they're used to him. So he's as one kind of like a Tarzan type way, which in a way it is, because he's grown up with them. That he's used to them, and in a way can communicate through animal noises.
Right.
In a way. So this one I liked. It's kind of a little lower on my list, only because the only portion of it that I didn't really care for was the singing part with Christopher Walken. Out of all of the parts, I enjoyed the Baloo and him kind of having their portion of them singing together.
Of course, yeah.
But it was kind of established where Christopher Walken's part just kind of came out of nowhere.
I mean, that was kind of more of the fan service.
And that kind of brought me out of it, because I think the cartoon version was a better singing version. Sure. But in general, though, loved the movie, thought it was great. Super excited for Beauty and the Beast, and so far they, other than the Maleficent movie, which was okay, Cinderella was great, which was a surprise, but that was a really, really solid adaptation. Really enjoyed that. This is their second one that they've done, Jungle Book, which is great. So I have really high hopes for Beauty and the Beast. Jungle Book number 5. Number 4 is Finding Dory.
Really?
I just realized I have a whole Disney list on here.
Wow. Okay.
Finding
that's
Dory
surprising.
is my number 4, because literally the movie starts. I press play, start it, and then little Dory comes on screen, and I pause it and I go, "Oh my god!"
that was one of the cutest images you'll ever see.
I literally stopped and went, "Oh my god!" And my friend's next, she's like, "What?" And I go, this is the cutest thing I've ever seen, ever. I was like, it's already got me.
Then you haven't seen Keanu.
I have seen Keanu.
Oh, well, that cat's cuter.
That is cute, but I'm just telling you, I was like, if I could have a fish, any animated fish in the whole wide world.
My God.
So this, after seeing that, because I'd seen, the Manoa, sorry, I can't remember. Moana, sorry, and Life of Pets and stuff.
Yeah.
And Life of Pets was great.
Don't see Secret Life of Pets.
I did. But this kind of was the cuteness factor just went over. I was like, okay, you already got me. I really liked the story. I thought it was pretty good for a sequel to which Finding Nemo is a great movie anyway. So I really liked it. So and I still haven't seen 2 other animated movies, but so far that was really good. And I do like Zootopian stuff, but for some reason, Dory really got me. I was just like, I can't. Everything else it's cute, but this is the cutest thing I've ever seen. So that just like got there. So Finding Dory was number 4.
The part where they lead the shells, they had to put the shells
just got
out.
Me.
That led Dory like, back to.
And then the flashbacks where she's like, can you help me? I was like, oh God, this is so like cute. Can't help it. And I went to Disney World and to the aquarium place, and they had little Dory, so I had flashbacks.
Aww,
I was like, it's so adorable. Awesome. Go there. Brought to you by Disney. This my whole list.
Go to your next one.
Civil War. I think me and Costa kind of like that. So the thing with that is I almost switched Civil War with Dory, but I really enjoyed Civil. It kind of goes back and forth, but I did like Civil War. So Civil War, Spider-Man, all that stuff. Really looking forward to it. Did not disappoint for me. It was what I expected it to be. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's a matter of expectations. To me, I expected the same thing, and that's what I got.
Some superhero movie on there, but that was the one that came out to me. My number 2 is Rogue One.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
My number 2 is Rogue One. Like I said, it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
Star Wars, I think last year, like, Force Awakens was on my list as well, high up almost.
I'm pretty sure it was close to the
Star
top.
Star Wars is really making me a fan. It's like just great. And my number 1 technically wouldn't really be a movie, but it blew me away and got me so like happy. But Stranger Things is on my number 1 list.
Oh, that's a little bit of cheating. But
it is a little bit of cheating, but
Stranger Things was interesting, but it fell apart for me at the end.
For you?
Yeah, for me. I'm just saying. Yeah,
but,
go ahead. Yep.
As a whole, if that was like a mini series, and if it's like I've said before, and like if it just ended it where it is, I know there's going to be a season 2, but I'd still be fine if it just ended the way it is. But that was was out of all the movies that I've seen this year, like that, like after seeing that over the summer, is like, oh my gosh, this makes up for all the shit that I've been seeing lately. And I really love the story. I loved how it was shot. I loved the look of it. I loved the acting part of it. Like, they didn't get shitty kid actors. They actually had really good kid actors.
That
like, everything that I've wanted to see of, like 80s was just, like, a dream come true for me.
Yeah.
So, I know it's not a movie, but it felt like one. And it, it really grabbed on, even though it's a TV show on Netflix, or it is, because at the point, we just found out, like, a couple months ago that they finally renewed it. So, Stranger Things... still, and to the point where I'm really excited for what they're going to do next. So sorry for the cheating, but I'm going to put Stranger Things.
Like I said, I did like Stranger Things for the most part. It fell apart at the end, and I don't know how interested I am in a season 2 if it's going to be the same thing. If it's because we talked about this before. I thought it would serve better to be like an anthology type series.
Yeah, well,
where they do something different every time.
And at the point though, if I look at it all, like I said, like let's just say like there is no season 2 because they held off for a really long time, which you would think they got so much buzz on that, like right the week after it came out, that it was like, when's the second season? But I was fine, like I said, if that ended just like it is, like on a cliffhanger, like, oh my God, I would have still been fine, because it does feel like if I read like a Stephen King book. Because that's happened before on many books that I've read, where it's just like, oh my God, that was a great. And looking at it, I was like, that was great.
And I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying like I feel like they've kind of already explained everything they had to about this world, and plus a lot of the fun of the series was this small town slowly accepting these supernatural happenings.
Or like just.
But you're not going to get that in the season 2 because they already have experienced this. So when anything weird starts to happen, there's not going to be like that buildup of like characters resisting against it. So
but I think like that with a lot of TV series in a way where they always go, but the first season was so great.
Yeah.
So even if do second season, you can always just watch the first and be like, just watch the first.
Yeah, that's true.
Great.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, I was just throwing in my 2 cents there. So for my top list, at the very bottom of the 5, I'm put Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I'm not saying this is like the best one of the best movies of the year. It's just one that I enjoyed watching, and it's one that I enjoyed that I give it more props for setting up the future films for what it's a world building movie. That's what it is. It's to break Harry Potter out of the kids who go to school every year type film cycle that we were in a few years ago, and it's trying to branch out the series and make it a more, like, this film was definitely a little bit more set for adults. This was not just a for kids film. And I liked some of the topics that they talked about in the movie, and I liked how they set up later films, and that it's eventually going to lead into something much bigger and much more significant. So that's why I'm saying that's why this makes my list. It's not going to be like the best movie of the year or anything like that, but it was good enough if you're a Harry Potter fan. And I thought it was enjoyable. It was an enjoyable movie, and we'll see where it goes from there. My number 4 is Zootopia. Fantastic, brilliant film. Like I said, Disney's own animation studio is starting to rival Pixar. And that's exciting, because that means we're getting more quality products. I mean, I haven't seen Moana. I've heard great things, so I've heard that the trend continues. I mean, I wasn't the biggest fan of Big Hero 6, but I did love Wreck-It Ralph. This was all the same Disney animation crew. So I'm excited. Like, Zootopia was just a great movie. Like everything Costa said was dead on about it. It was funny. It was great voice acting, and just the little things that they put in, like how it kind of reflected current climate in terms of social of some of the social political issues going on. Like the way it managed to bring that in, and it did it in a way where it was kind of unexpected. But once it happened, you're like, oh, okay. Well, that's an interesting turn.
Because it would go over the heads of kids.
Exactly. But that last little twist, it was that last little twist to just like kind of put that nail in the story there. Like okay, now this is really interesting. Jungle Book makes my number 3. I mean, we're just talking Disney. For me, for a long time, Disney was associated with, like every time I heard Disney was grabbing a property or something, like, oh, why Disney? Why Disney? They've turned a corner, and again, there's nothing quantitative to this statement, but I almost feel like that happened once they acquired Star Wars, which was quite a few years back at this point, and maybe it started earlier, but
I would say probably around because I think they acquired Marvel, and then not too long after they acquired Star Wars. So
and that's the thing. Ever since they've turned around completely. Now, whenever we see something that Disney is making, like, we're actually getting excited about it. Jungle Book, we're saying is one of our favorite films. Zootopia is one of our favorite films from this, or at least a few of our favorite films from this year. It's probably going to win Best Animated Film this year.
Zootopia?
Zootopia, unless the Oscars really do have a bug up their butt about Pixar. So, I mean, we've seen it happen before. So, let's just put it that way.
Whatever the old people like.
I mean, basically,
exactly.
competing against themselves will be Zootopia, Moana.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, but either way, I mean, Disney turn around, they're making another $1 billion. Every day, like every movie they're putting out billions of dollars, but they're actually quality stuff now. It's not just like they're just getting cheap money off of things that fans like. No, they're actually making good films.
The top 10.
And it's great. I love it. I love that we're in a Disney renaissance. I love it.
The top 10 grossing films so far this year
are all Disney.
Yeah.
And Rogue One will eventually crack into at the top.
Oh yeah.
Right.
But the top 3 are right now are Civil War, Zootopia, and The Jungle Book.
Yeah, and now all these sorts of films like Jungle Book get me excited for, like you said, Beauty and the Beast. I now have a lot more confidence in than I would have if Jungle Book was a failure.
Yeah.
If that was a failure, then I would have been like, I don't know. But now I have full confidence in Disney going forward.
Jungle Book will be in the top 3 somewhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Next year it'll be in the top 3 most likely.
Absolutely.
It might not be number 1, but it will be probably in the top 3.
Absolutely. Yep. No, it's a great movie, fantastic, but Deadpool beats it out for number 2. Deadpool was, like we said, we mentioned it already, just one of the most unique superhero experiences. The fact that it was a comedy as well as a superhero film, but it was like better than like Ant-Man, for example. And because they melded that comedy in so well with all the action scenes, and they did a good job at making Deadpool somebody you could sympathize or empathize with, and he wasn't too over the top. at some moments of the movie.
I feel like he was over the top, but I feel like that's the point
I guess
of
like
it. Yeah.
he wasn't an obnoxious character in terms of.
I feel like it depends.
No, in terms of that you couldn't stand watching him on the screen.
Definitely.
You know that he was always entertaining.
Yeah.
That he was appropriately obnoxious, where you weren't like annoyed by his character. That's
as long as you like the
point.
movie, because I can see some people who didn't like the movie would be like, "Oh, he's obnoxious," whatever.
Right? Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm saying.
Not knowing that that's what the character is.
Because the story itself is kind of just a basic revenge plot.
Yeah.
But even still, they still did it, and they told the story in a very fresh, unique way.
Yeah, they flipped the structure of it.
Right, with it being a non-linear film.
Yeah, it was non-linear. Which is great sometimes.
Right, and sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes you don't need a huge, complicated story. If you can tell a simple story, but if you find a unique way to tell it, that's just as good.
Yeah.
You know, so Deadpool, I'm so happy.
But unique.
Yes, exactly.
And rated R.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say. I'm so glad that Deadpool managed to break that barrier because it proved that we can have smart, aggressive superhero films that can be rated R. They can still make bank.
Well, I would say we've had I wouldn't say maybe comic book, but I'm saying there in the 90s they had movies that were rated R, that were great movies that still made bank and could still sell toys. T2, for example, but they stopped it. And even with horror movies nowadays, where they're like, they think they PG-13. No, a horror movie should be rated R.
Right. Yeah. And if you're doing it right.
Yes, if you're doing it right, if people want to see the movie, they will spend the money to see it. But you have to give them a reason. If it's whatever mediocre, then they're not going to. And I feel like Deadpool at least brought that back to studios and said, stop being afraid to do this.
Yes.
You can make your money as long as you don't give that big budget. You know?
And that's what, right, exactly. I agree. And that's what we're starting to see with the rumors that Logan's going to be rated R, which it definitely looks like it is going to be. And exactly. See, look at the reaction right there. That's the point. We get excited when we hear that because that means we're not going to see things getting cut just because they didn't fit the R rating or, you know, that the writers were too afraid to go that extra step to make something appropriately violent. We're not saying every superhero film has to be bloody, gory like Deadpool was. No. It just has to be appropriate for its own material.
Stop thinking of how many toys we can sell.
And start thinking about the story and the film itself.
Listen, that's up to the parents. If they want to take the kid to see a rated R
that's
movie,
their own stupid fault.
That's the parent. You're not being a parent.
Go on Amazon and look at the reviews for Deadpool for the Blu-ray.
I saw that too.
And how many parents said that they had to return it because they didn't read.
Yeah, but it was never advertised for kids. No. It was never ever once said that this was a kids movie.
That's people's problem. That's not the studio's problems. That show is the parents supposed to look to see.
Right, but parents make it the studio's problem.
I would like to see how Sausage Party turned out for them because that whole movie.
that's probably even worse, to be honest.
You know what? But again, that's people problems.
Yes.
That's just having the common decency.
I agree.
You shouldn't have to, a studio shouldn't have to parent somebody's child. That's your job.
Right, exactly. I agree. And my number one, I can't resist, it's Rogue One. Yeah. And I am a Star Wars fanboy. I have to admit that I will always have a soft spot in my heart for Star Wars. But if Rogue One was a failure, it would not be on my list. I would be so mad. I'd be frustrated right now. But no, Rogue One was fantastic. It was amazing. The best movie I saw this year. Just the action, the visuals, we talked about in our review a few days ago, that whole, midpoint of the movie onwards, it got better and better all the way up until the end. It just was a thrill ride. If you are a Star Wars fan or even the casual Star Wars fan, you'll find something to love about this movie. Best movie of the year. I can't wait and I know it probably won't actually win that award. It might have a chance, actually, since there are no Jedis and Force involved, since it's an actual war-based movie.
Because they have 10 nominations.
At least get nominated.
They should nominate
please,
it.
Yes.
That's for me. It's my number 2, but at least Stranger Things can't get nominated. Well, at least for Emmy stuff. And it has. So Rogue One, I definitely too bad the Golden Globes stuff has already come out because I'd be like, that deserves to be, and the Oscars need to get the stick up out of their butt because sci-fi movies and stuff like that, this should be there.
And I agree, especially if we have a situation like last year where they left 2 spots empty.
Yes. all
why
the
not?
spots.
Why not just put Rogue One
Fill
in there
the
anyway?
spots.
You know, at least force the voters to consider it.
Like last year,
It doesn't make any
Force
sense.
Awakens should have been one of
It
those
should have been
spots.
in there. It wouldn't have won.
One.
No, and it definitely wouldn't have won, just
No.
because of the way that the Academy is. But it deserved. Yes, exactly. It deserved
it made
the nomination.
film industry so much money.
It did.
And you always
$2
talk
billion.
about how it wins,
$2 billion.
like how great Star Wars is, like from the
Yes.
like it won awards for like I don't know was Star Wars like the
didn't even
'77
win-
one, was that nominated though for Best Picture though?
What New Hope?
Yeah,
I don't know if it was. Or
I
not.
won a bunch of technical awards. I know.
Of course,
that
they all
much.
did.
Of
Or at
course.
least they all got
Listen,
nominated.
if you have so many technical awards and you have 10 spots,
Yeah.
I
You
don't
deserve
understand.
something.
You should. That should be there, especially
Yeah.
when this movie is helping your industry by making people go to the theater.
Right, exactly. Just a quick honorable mention. I know I'm in the minority opinion on this, but I liked X-Men Apocalypse. I thought it was a great movie as well. I kept it just out of my top 5. I thought Fantastic Beasts deserved the spot there instead of X-Men, but I'm also just going to throw that out there. But to some people, it was a disappointment, and that makes a fantastic segue into our wrap-up segment of this
real quick,
episode.
I'm sorry, real quick. I mentioned before.
Ruined my segue!
But guilty,
Come on!
Guilty pleasure of 2016 though is Keanu. Go.
That's a really fun movie.
It's a
I
fun
didn't see it, so
Go-
I'll
go-
take your word
Key
on
and
that.
Peele is pretty funny.
doesn't really doesn't belong in anyone's top 5, but it's a guilty pleasure. Good
There's
time to go see
randomness to it, but if you like
Yes.
Key and Peele, yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
go
was
see
fun.
it.
Well, now I'm disappointed
Are we
that
just-
my segue was ruined.
Now you're
For
back
honorable
to
mentions,
Anyway, real quick, let's just real quick mention what films this year were you most disappointed by, and we're not just gonna categorically list them all. Let's just do a quick discussion here. Costa, what was let's just say the biggest disappointment this year, and then you can mention any honorable mentions. But let's just say what was your biggest disappointment this
Well,
year?
just
Because this
to
was a
suffice-
year kind of full of them.
Right.
So,
Well, see, what I'm going to classify as a disappointment is a movie that I had high expectations for that just did not deliver. Because for the most part, a lot of the movies that I saw this year were average movies.
Right.
Where I really have basically almost zero feelings towards them. But my disappointment, I think that a lot of people would share this sentiment, is Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad, it just did not really deliver on anything that I was expecting. Really, the only thing that I got out of it that was promised was that Will Smith would be entertaining as Deadpool. Yeah, there was that. And Margot Robbie has moments as Harley Quinn. But other than that, the story was awful. You know, the majority of anybody else in the movie, not Deadshot or Harley Quinn, didn't really care for their characters. Just all around, like they really didn't deliver on the Joker. I don't know if that's mostly because they cut a lot of his stuff out and they didn't give a chance to develop the Joker. I was excited to see what Jared Leto would do, but in the little bits and pieces that they showed us, not all that exciting, honestly. As far as all the Joker versions of the Joker that had been on the big screen,
At the bottom.
It's at the bottom.
Sure.
You know,
I still put Heath Ledger's
Well,
at the top,
obviously,
but
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
another
yeah, yeah.
Obviously,
but that's
yeah,
another
yeah.
conversation for another day.
Just
Yep.
Suicide Squad failed on so many levels, and I think
I agree.
I think in large part probably has to do with the fact that they decided to go all in last minute on the humor bits, and it just left a bad taste in my mouth. I thought this was going to be the movie that would get Warner Brothers and DC right back on track, but in fact, it took them even further off the track.
Fair point.
So I really, at this point, have zero hope for anything that they do moving forward.
Yep.
I don't care about Wonder Woman. I don't care about Justice League. I don't care about anything that they have left in the lineup. I'm sorry, if I'm going to watch any of their movies, I'm probably going to torrent it because I'm not giving another penny of my money for anything that they're making.
Yep, fair enough. Any honorable mentions, real quick?
Like I said, everything else is just sort of average. Obviously, Batman vs Superman. I didn't mention
There you
that
go.
only because I knew going into it
Right.
it was going to be a shitty movie.
Yep. I called that years ago. I'm just pointing that out.
I mean, everything else is
I
just
called
sort
it when
of-
it was first announced.
Yeah. Other movies like Finding Dory was okay. Secret Life of Pets wasn't a good movie, but it wasn't like
I like the
horrible.
bunny.
The Bunny.
See, I didn't like The Bunny.
Again, everything on the list of movies that I have seen is just average at best. Like, we once saw the Lonely Island movie Pop Star.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that.
That was like, if you're a fan of Lonely Island, it was funny, but it wasn't a great movie.
I'd rather watch Pop Star again than Suicide Squad. I had more fun during Pop Star.
I agree with that.
I had more fun during Pop Star than Suicide Squad.
Movies, if anything qualifies, I guess. No, that's the reason. I can't even say anything else really qualifies. Everything else is just sort of average, but the disappointment of Suicide Squad left a bad taste in my mouth walking out of the theater. That's it. I got nothing else left to say.
Breathe. It's okay. It's okay. You're safe now.
It's almost over.
It's almost over.
The year's almost over. Just think of Rogue One.
You're safe here. You're safe here. Don't worry.
This is a safe place. You can hold my Kylo Ren if you need to. He's there for help.
Amber.
Yes.
Quickly, your disappointments of this year.
Well, me and Costa, great minds think alike, because Suicide Squad was the biggest,
disappointment.
Was the biggest disappointment. Okay. I will say, like, we're kind of the same way too. That Batman versus Superman was a disappointment, but I knew going in, because afterwards we heard like all the stuff to it. My expectations were super, super low, so when I went in, it was a little bit better than what but I mean, that was like 2 inches off the ground. But I will say that I did enjoy the extended cut, because there was scenes in it that made sense to me, like before, where I was just like, oh, why did they cut this out? This makes sense. You need to take this shit out and probably get rid of Jesse Eisenberg altogether. But anyway, Suicide Squad, yes. David Ayers, who is usually a great director, probably should not have done it. And he probably shouldn't have written it, because I don't think
DC clearly did not learn their lesson, because David Ayers and Margot Robbie are going to re-team for that Harley Quinn movie.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, but anyway, go ahead.
But I was going to say, the story sucked.
Oh, okay.
Well, I just want to say, I agree. The story sucked. Will Smith, great actor in general, but they probably should have gotten unknown. Just because it's still, to me, it was still Will Smith.
I still feel like I feel like if he wasn't in there, though, it would have been a lot worse.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, but in the end, it was just like whatever. It's a Will Smith movie being Will Smith.
You should have just called the movie like Fresh Prince of Gotham or something like that.
Oh God. And like I said, the storyline sucked. The CGI was pretty shitty.
Yeah.
Enchantress, I just wanted to punch that girl in the face. I'm sorry, I don't like that model actress. I just don't think she's a good actress, and her character sucks.
She does kind of have an annoying face.
Like, I'm just like, why do you always look angry and confused at the same time?
Yeah.
But anyway, and I also want to say, the movie, the Suicide Squad was the biggest disappointment, and I agree with Costa too. Like, I don't give a shit about Warner Brother movies with the WB.
I was like that from the beginning, but
Justice League, I don't give a shit. Wonder Woman, maybe, but I'm gonna wait a while until I actually hear like people like it is worth going. It's amazing, whatever. No. I'm gonna but I'm not gonna be like rushing out to the theater, and I don't give a shit about Aquaman or Flash or anything. I'll go watch the Flash on TV, people. Yep. I just want to say I saw Ghostbusters. And I've never been so angry in my entire life.
We were just asking to be.
Well, yeah. I like didn't go and see it because I was just against it or whatever. And then finally, after hearing certain people like did like it, so I was like, well, maybe it'll be different then. Maybe I was wrong, whatever. No, I was right 100%. I have never been offended as a girl, as a female.
Wow.
I've never been so offended in my life.
Oh,
and being a Ghostbusters fan, double that.
Wow.
I felt like they slapped as a female in the face because they thought this was feminist, and I was like, no. And then being a female Ghostbusters fan was like a double slap in the face. So I say, fuck you, Sony. You're lucky that Marvel is helping you with Spider-Man, because you guys don't know what the hell you're doing. Honorable mentions.
Consult the list.
Zootopia.
As a disappointment?
No. As honorable mentions. Like, I thought you were talking about that.
No. I'm sorry. I meant honorable mentions in terms of disappointment.
Oh, that's it. Those two.
Gotcha. I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
No, Suicide Squad was just a big disappointment. I don't want them to do anything more, and nobody's going to watch. They're not doing that Harley Quinn thing, because nobody's going to watch that thing unless they, like, reboot everything. And Ghostbusters was just completely, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I saw red, and I shook my head the entire, did not laugh once. I laughed, I went, because I was like, that is so horrible. That's why I laughed.
Yeah,
like this movie's so
it looked bad.
I was like, did you even watch Ghostbusters?
Yeah, it looked bad. Just real quick, my biggest disappointment, because I had different expectations for all these movies that we've already talked about.
But he does.
Right, and which is fair, I mean, that's fine. So in terms of, in general, disappointment, Secret Life of Pets was the most disappointing, just because of to me, how bland and generic the story was. Like, Pixar has kind of, like, put our expectations for animated films on a different level than they should be. Mm-hmm. These are primarily meant for kids, but Pixar manages to blend that level so well that we kind of forget that other companies are not Pixar.
Yeah.
And so when we saw Secret Life of Pets, the trailer, it was really funny, and we were like, oh my God, it might be a funny, unique take on pets, but then it just becomes this most generic story, and it's.
It reminds me of Oliver and Company.
It is, but it's worse.
Oliver and Company I think is way better than Life of Pets.
Oh, absolutely it is, but 100% better, because Secret Life of Pets could have been saved by a simple thing. They still could have done the two main characters getting like lost in the main city somehow, and then they go through the city in a sort of Zootopia style way where they kind of find like animals at different parts of the city. They have like a different cultural life, and they kind of did a little bit of that, but then it just becomes this generic chase like movie by the end of it. And then, like, they do this whole thing with the one dog's, like, former owner who was dead.
There was no payoff.
And there was no payoff. Right, exactly.
Sad. You just go, oh, the poor dog.
It was sad, but then he, like, gets angry about it.
And then tries to attack the people that live in the house.
Right, but then they get immediately picked up by animal control, and then there was no resolution off of that. It was just, okay, that was it. They're done. Like, what? What is going on? And then there was that whole sausage, like
factory that they, like...
Sausage factory dream sequence. I'm like, what am I watching? Like, what am I watching? I've entered a whole different movie than what we started.
I watched it. I didn't have high expectations for it, but I did watch and think, you know who I'd rather see more than this big dog? I'd rather see the cat and the dog. The cat from upstairs, because I liked her personality and I thought it was two good mixes.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't it have been more interesting if she came home with a cat?
Yeah.
And that cat was just like, I don't really care about my owners or any. She kept the cat. I did like the little bunny, but I did like the cat because it always got with at the party and everything.
Yeah.
Like, that was the thing that I liked.
The bunny was kind of funny, but to me it was just more of Kevin Hart doing what he always does, trying too hard.
I feel like
Kevin Hart always tries too hard to make you laugh, and it's not funny. I'm sorry. No. Humor has to come naturally. You can't just loud talk your way into being funny. You just can't. And that's all he does. He just talks loudly.
Instead of him being the villain, I think they should have switched him up with the guinea pig, so you just get bits of him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know how the guinea pig shows up? I think that would have been more funny, where it's Kevin Hart's voice, but he's just like going around, and then you just see him. I think that would have been better, because him ending up being like the villain was a little bit too much. Well, and then I enjoyed parts of it, but then there was like stuff was like, okay.
Well, and then even too, just the plot got ridiculous at the end. Like the animals, like, they run off from that underground area, the bunny's lair, and then they go to the other side of the city, and somehow the bunny tracks them, and they manage to meet at the same time on the bridge? What? No way!
Well,
at that point,
movie.
I was done. I was like, this is dumb.
They had really fast alligators.
And I will say, Finding Dory was a disappointment for me, because...
How can you not just like the beginning of that little baby
It was
face?
so cute, but everything else about the movie was the same thing we've already seen.
Yeah.
It had some good moments.
Find her.
It had some good moments with Ty Burrell as the dolphin and what's his name? Ed O'Neill. Ed O'Neill, thank you, as the octopus. They were funny. They were nice additions, but overall it was just kind of like I didn't get the same memorable moments that I got from Finding Nemo. And like Finding Dory just felt like more of the same, and because it felt like what I thought was going to be. Like, Dory is a funny character, she's not a good main character, and it's like Nemo and Marlin were just along for the ride, and they were just like there just because, hey, remember Finding Nemo? These guys were in it.
They're basically her keepers, basically.
Yeah, it's like it was not a good movie in my opinion. And just to throw out as an honorable mention for a disappointment, Jason Bourne.
Oh yeah,
the newest Jason Bourne movie.
Because you told me it wasn't good.
It just like all the Bourne movies follow a formula aside for Legacy, because Legacy was just god awful. And Ultimatum was the best use of that formula. And this movie is just another example of that formula on display, where they tried to follow it, but they followed it so to a T that it was just predictable. And it was just too generic at this point. It's like, how do they keep funding these secret programs? How do they keep creating and funding these secret programs that this one CIA top agent is in charge of?
Taxpayer money.
Right, and yeah, what a waste of taxpayer money, man. Come on. Like, what is this? How do they keep going under the radar with all these schemes? Now that they've been busted 4 times, and they all get surprised every time that Jason Bourne comes back and busts them. Like, oh my God, that's Jason Bourne. Oh, we're screwed again.
Because it's Matt Damon.
Yes. But even then,
Damon.
even the action scenes weren't even as enjoyable as like Ultimatum, where Ultimatum just had that nice little. They had a few little tricks that made it good, and this movie just didn't have those
They
tricks.
should have just left it at Ultimatum.
They should have.
Because
It was perfect.
Like, that was a pretty good series.
It was
but
a pretty good
It got
trilogy.
better. Cause
Identity wasn't that
Bourne
great.
Identity was
Yeah.
okay, and you
Exactly.
figure, like, why would they do another one? But Bourne Supremacy was good, but
And
Ultimatum,
then Ultimatum was the best.
great, yeah.
Absolutely. I agree. It was the perfect ascending trilogy.
Like, okay, it's done.
Yeah,
It's good.
exactly. So that was it. That was it for mine. That was, yeah, I mean, most of the films I went to go to the theater, I've either pleasantly enjoyed, or like you said, have been average. Like, I kept Civil War off of my disappointment list because it did just enough to not be a disappointment, but it still disappointed me in some aspects.
But you already have when you go into a Marvel
Right,
movie,
you
you
have
already
your own
expect it, so you can't really be
thoughts.
disappointed when you know what.
No,
what you expected.
but I guess like I thought Civil War had a chance to like push the envelope.
Yeah,
and
I
it didn't.
understand what you're talking about.
And
yeah.
that was my point.
They
but
need to do what Disney's doing with Star Wars. Is
yes,
that what you're
again,
saying?
yes, again, 100% yes, and
If
yes,
you've,
exactly.
Star Wars Rogue One
Yes,
video,
which you should.
Which, hey, Infinity War. Maybe they'll take it from Rogue One and be like, "Hey guys, we should."
I don't think we're going to see anything substantial happen until the next movie
that's not-
after Infinity
yeah.
War.
Well, that's a different
Infinity War is
discussion.
just the setup for whatever the next movie is.
That's a different discussion.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, we're veering off track. So that was it. 2016 is mercifully at an end, and we can look forward to a bunch of new movies next year that hopefully are going to be really good. I mean, we have Episode 8 in the wait for Star Wars next year.
Basically around this time
Oh
next
yeah,
year.
Christmas next year.
Christmas next year.
Come on.
I feel like it'll be good. We're going to end the year off.
They
in a
have
good
these
year.
planned release dates for all these future movies in like March. They're going to all put them in December because gives them a perfect year in between to advertise, do all their things, and let each film stand alone. Plus, why would you move Star Wars from the Christmas holiday timetable? Why would you do that at this point? No, it's going to be Star Wars and Christmas every year now. So, we're looking forward to that.
Eventually, they'll get that Oscar nomination eventually.
Eventually.
They get it right
we
there.
will do it. If it wins, we're just, all Star Wars fans are going to be like, we did it.
At least if not, they'll get more Oscars to their visual effects, whatever.
Yes, and then we also have films like Spider-Man is coming out next year, Spider-Man Homecoming, so
Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast. We have a lot to look forward to.
They're
next
all-
year.
Rangers.
Power Rangers.
All right.
Yeah, I know.
I like that the movies that we're excited about, again, all Disney.
Yeah, that's
All
true.
Disney movies.
It's true, and there's, like I said, there's a bunch of them coming out. We'll see how next year goes. Hopefully, we get a very interesting, fun movie year. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all as always, for joining and providing your opinions. This is a lot of fun. A lot of fun to just chat movies,
Yeah.
So we hope you all have fun. What was your favorite movie of 2016 or your biggest disappointment of 2016? Let us know in the comments beneath on the video, and also on our Twitter or Facebook account. On Twitter, it's at Movie.Cast, spelled out because of Twitter's stupid naming rules. And then Facebook, it's Movie.Cast. Leave us a comment there as well. Let us know, and hope you guys enjoyed our show. See you in the funny papers. Enjoy 2017. Happy holidays.